To the Pmbc meeting for June 12th, 2024. I'm going to share the agenda, I hope. How do I do that? There we go. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
Okay. So the first order of business is the warrant. I'm going to have to figure out how to share that here. Here we go. So the warrant consists of 5 items. The first item is the Vertex Company for $4,972 for OPM services at King Street. The second item is Vertex Company for $36,229.50 for the Senior Center. Third item is LLB Architects, $16,749.27 for King Street. And then LLB Architects, $17,878.16, again for the Senior Center. And then the last item is Commodore Building for the Senior Center, $975,508.55 for a total of $1,051,337.48. I sent the warrant out in advance of the meeting. I hope everyone's had a chance to look at it. Any questions?
No.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
So Bob Romley moves. Is there a second?
I'll second it. Bartlett, Harvey.
Okay, roll call vote. Bob?
Bob Romley, yes.
Bartlett?
Bartlett, Harvey, yes.
Mike?
Mike Scudetto, yes.
Brian?
Brian Pasquale, yes.
And Stacy?
Stacy Damaris, yes.
And Steve Moore, yes. So the warrant passes. Thanks very much. Go back to the agenda, and the next item is to approve the meeting minutes of 5/8 and 5/22. We're going to defer that. I haven't had a chance to look at the last set of meeting minutes. Shaker Lane feasibility study. Stacy, do you want to give an update on that?
Yep. Yeah, pretty much the only update I have for right now is we actually got together with a lot of the educators of the school, as well as the OPM and our architects, to start brainstorming what the concept of the school is going to be. So that was yesterday. We had our principals were there. All the leading educational leadership was there. Kelly Clenchy was there. I was there to represent the community. So pretty much what they were doing is just kind of gathering a big picture of what our needs and wants were. And we have another meeting coming up, I'm looking right now, on the 20th, where they're going to present to us kind of a compilation of what we came up with, and then we move on to next steps there.
And also yesterday, a number of us had a meeting with the MSBA, and we identified, where we've been, next steps. We determined that our next school board building committee meeting will be on the 18th, which is the day before the Juneteenth, which is a holiday. So I'll be sending out an agenda for that meeting.
Is that with the MSBA? Can you?
Without, no, it's just our internal committee.
Okay. Right.
Any questions?
Do you have a time for that? Sorry, I just want to get it just a temporary.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. Okay. Thank you.
Littleton High School, Brian, since you're here, give us an update.
Sure. Yeah, there's not much left to do there, Steve, other than kind of close out the paperwork. And I copied you on a couple emails today there. We're trying to still get closeout documents out of Rockwell Roofing. they did finally sign the final change order today, so we have that, and they said that they would follow up with their warranties and close out documentation so we can pay their final invoices and finally close that job out.
Yeah, and I saw that you wanted to get an updated reconciliation of their statement, since the one that they sent us last month was totally off base.
Yeah, and Michelle had provided some backup that the
Yeah.
majority of that had been paid, so I'm not sure why there was a discrepancy there, but hopefully we'll get that straightened out.
So while we have you on the phone, I just want to thank you for your service to the Pmbc. I think this may be your last meeting. I'm not sure, but we really appreciate your input and your dedication.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it. It's hopefully I'll be on the last meeting in June as well. So this may not be my last one, but if it is, thank you, Juan, for your time and leading the group. It's been a pleasure working with everybody on it. I wish I could continue. I just, as you've probably seen over the past couple of months, I haven't been able to attend the meetings, so I didn't want to continue to hold. But thanks to all you guys for being easy to work with. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank
Brian.
you.
Thanks.
Thank
you.
Thanks.
Okay, moving down to the senior center update, Brian.
That's a tough act to follow. Good. For senior center, we've been making some great progress. I don't know if anyone's been able to drive by the site. We've had our steel deliveries over the past 2 weeks, and it's my opinion that they can't get the steel there fast enough. We have the erecting company there that's really been doing a great job. We have our CM on site running safety meetings every morning, and we've had great weather, and the progress shows that. Before I go into the monthly report, I did also want to introduce, we have Matt Sturts here from Vertex. He's a new hire as of about a month and a half ago, Matt, and he's going to be helping out with some of the project management here in Littleton, not only at the senior center, but also at 36 King Street. So he's been diving into the drawings. He's been attending our meetings here at the construction trailer. He's going to be a valuable asset finishing both of these projects, and they're both going to be finishing roughly around the same time frame, our schedules. So we're going to need the manpower, and that's just the guy for it. So just wanted to introduce you to everybody, and if you have any questions, we'll send around his contact information as well.
Yeah, welcome, Matt.
Thanks for having me tonight.
So going quickly into our, what I'd like to do is just go through the monthly report quickly. I do have some actual updated pictures from today as well that we can share. I'd like to kick over to the potential change order log, something that Bob and I and Vertex have reviewed today. Bob, we're fortunate that Bob's able to attend our project meetings, and we go through kind of our process on vetting out change orders and how we're going to recommend them to the committee. Go through our change order log, and we have a couple of questions for the committee about decisions, and ultimately, if there's any rebuttals or any questions on the ones we're recommending, we can answer them or not proceed with bundling up this owner change order that would amend the contract to Commodore. So here's our monthly report for May.
Hey, Brian, can you enlarge that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Hold on one sec. Sorry, one sec. Something went wrong, it says, of course. Of course. Our schedule right now, like I said, we are tracking right on schedule, if not a little ahead of schedule. The steel has been going very well. We're into our phase 4 at this point. We've had to expedite our testing agent to be out on site earlier than anticipated so that we can do our torque testing, weld testing, ultrasonic testing as well through some of the moment welds as well. Currently, from a budget standpoint, we are committed at 93%. And Expenditures to date were around 19%. So you saw that we've approved $1 million on the warrant, most of which was with Commodore Builders, and that's a reflection of all the concrete and steel that's on site right now. Scrolling down, and I did send this out. If anybody has any questions, please interrupt me. One thing we did want to discuss is on the 27th of June, we are organizing the topping off ceremony. We bought our little Christmas tree today, and we've also organized where the steel beam is going to be placed on site, where residents and staff of the senior center and the committee of Pmbc can come out and sign the beam. And on the 27th at around lunchtime, Commodore is going to be offering lunch for everybody, and we'll have a little topping off beam ceremony at that point. So we are working with Liz currently right now to put together kind of an invitation and kind of a communication bulletin that can be sent out to the community and staff of Town Hall, and I'll send it out to the committee as well for that.
That's on a Thursday?
The 27th, which
Yes.
is a Thursday. Yes.
Thursday, yep.
Okay.
I'll kick it over to Mike. Mike, if you want to maybe go through some of the progress that we've had this week, and we can go through some of the pictures quickly, and then I'll kick over my share screen over to the pictures in Raken that we have that actually are maybe a little more relevant because they were taken today to show the committee what we have.
Yeah, if you can just go down to the photos, I can speak through the progress we've had through May. Oops.
Oh man.
Gotta get
All right,
blue beam.
so- I apologize if my computer is giving issues, but can you see what we have there, Mike, or can you see?
Yeah, I can see it. I can speak to the photos that we have visible here. So in this photo, you can see that we're continuing the foundation wall. That would be the north elevation foundation wall, as well as at the center right of that photo, we also have the spread footing, which will be for the columns that are now being installed. In the back of that photo is a little backfill of retaining wall. This photo is the completed foundation wall that we just saw in the previous photo, as well as the application of the damp proofing. So that's been completed 100%. And also wrapping up on the inside is the AVB for under the slab. This photo is the water connection that was made during May, I think May 16th at Shattuck Street. So the building now has water. We just chlorinated the pipe and also passed pressure testing. In this photo, you can see this is the beginning of under slab plumbing piping installation. This is the kitchen section. As well, on the bottom of that photo, you can see some of the conduit, which will be for the electrical, under slab electrical that go throughout the building. This is a good photo of both the backfill of that self-retaining wall, which has been completed so far, and then also in the main center of that picture is the erection of the elevator hoistway shaft. So they got that cool scaffolding, which goes up and down, which is very cool. This is more photo. This is another photo of the under slab plumbing, which they completed, and there's also the backfill for the slab prep. Another angle of that same plumbing. That's the extent of it. So that's 100% complete for under slab. This is a picture of the slab on grade prep. So that's all the the vapor barrier that goes underneath the slab on top of the dense grade, as well as all the penetrations. This is, it's kind of a little hard to see, but this is a photo of now they have the welded wire mesh fabric down, which is the reinforcing that will be throughout the slab. And then this at the end of the month was as a progress picture of the slab placement. So that's about half of it. Yeah, that's the completed slab, as well as their saw cutting the slab to prevent cracking. And then they also continue to wet down the slab throughout that Friday, and then the following weekend the next week, so it cures properly.
So Mark, I didn't quite understand that. Didn't quite hear you on that, but the curing method was what?
So to help with the curing of the concrete, they put sprinklers out, so the surface of the slab is constantly receiving moisture and being wetted down. So it just helps with the curing process.
Okay,
So it doesn't
thanks.
dry out and crack.
So this picture that was taken that you're looking at here was on the very end of the month of May, whether it was the 31st or 30th. And I'm just going to switch my screen to show a quick update of where we are today. Can you see my screen here?
Yep.
Yeah. So here we are into phase 3 of steel erection, where columns are going up in the town hall side of the building, where we've already installed joists and the rafters that are going up on the on 31 Shattuck side of the building. So things are going very well. We have a delivery usually in the morning. We get the trucks in, unloaded, and get the truck out of the way before any staff are able to park in the parking lot. As you can see here, some of the as this has gone throughout the day today. So we're making great progress when it comes to steel. Like I said, we'll have our testing agent here at the end of this week, and we'll have periodic meetings with the steel erector as well as the inspector about how things are looking, and those reports will be submitted to us as well as the structural engineer.
So Brian, looking at the slab, were there any control joints cut in there?
Yes. Yes. So the last picture that Mike was showing there, after the pour, the day after they did that, they came back and cut in the construction and control joints.
Okay.
Yeah, those are all per the plan dictated to by the structural engineer. You can actually see one here at the bottom where the cursor is that runs along this way to where the cutout is of that column.
Brian, who's the erector?
Ajax Steel.
Okay.
I've had them on a previous project as well. It was during COVID, and the whole crew actually got COVID, so I didn't have much experience with them. But
Right.
we've had very good luck with them on this job so far.
Okay, and the steel was Canatel, right?
That's correct. All right. If there's no other questions, I did send out a PCO log with my packet, and that has since changed just because of some comments that we've provided. We had a meeting today to go over change orders that we had, and we had a couple questions for the committee as well. If there are questions on this, we can explain. If we don't want to approve or recommend them today, that's fine. I can pull the backup for them and provide them to the committee. But to go through some of these, a lot of them had to do with coordination that we've had. We've had some credits, we've had some ads based upon the BIM modeling that was done between all contractors. We are now out of the woods with all coordination from a mechanical, electrical, plumbing standpoint. So all these changes reflect the work that has been done in the past 2 months for it. Before we do go into it, I do want to bring attention down to the bottom of our PCO log. This is also reflected in our total budget. On the owner's side, we started with a contingency of just over $600,000. We have approved to date $34,000, so we've approved about 5.7% of our contingency. I think we're in a really good shape with that. This does not account for any contingency that Commodore has in their guaranteed maximum price, nor any of their allowances that have not been touched yet to date. So that being said, I can go through these relatively quickly. If there are questions, I don't want to take up too much time. We had a steel drawing and other change order. This was from Canatel. With a lot of the coordination that we had some steel changes that needed to be done in the kitchen area to accommodate some of the coordination. A lot of this is the engineering time. We had comments on this. They did provide a breakdown for it. They reduced some of their drafting time, of which was reviewed today by us and the design team, and we considered it fair and reasonable for what that was. So that was for $12,496.
So Brian, just to go back to your, this would come out of the CM contingency, wouldn't it?
These would come out of our construction contingency. So
Yeah.
what we do when we get a change that is presented to us, we discuss with Commodore too, if this is something that we feel is owned by scope, or if it was owned by the construction documents that Commodore didn't carry, that they would have to pick up on their end. And so this would be considered a construction change. The next is CR number 16. In coordination with Liz and the end user, we had multiple wall hydrants that were around the perimeter of the building. We took out a couple of those. This will still allow for any watering for the plantings around the building, but the others were not needed and the associated piping with it. So we were recommended a credit change order to the town for $5,698. The next is CR number 20, vent piping for the grease tank. This was an omission from the drawings that was not installed. It's something that is needed by code. This is an add of $4,758.13. We worked with a plumbing engineer who admitted that this is an omission and that is needed per code. The next, I do have a little bit of an explanation for. This is door hardware changes material. We had a pretty lengthy meeting with our security vendor, which is going to be purchased by the town, Neshoba Security, which is their house down the street in Littleton. And we had a coordination meeting with them and with our hardware consultant and our hardware contractor. And so we received a quote. What we determined is that we were going to make some hardware changes in order to simplify the security scope on this. If you look in our total project budget, we have about $100,000 for security package on this, and that's inclusive of the security cameras as well as the access control throughout the entire building. The quote came in around $50,000, and the reason for that is that we simplified the security, but we were going to need to add some hardware on the hardware contractor scope in order to coordinate with this. And to make it as simple as possible, we're keeping the security scope inside the door jamb with the electric strike, and we're going to keep the hardware with the hardware contractor so that there's no kind of cross-contamination with our security vendor trying to get into the hardware in order to do this wiring. Therefore, the premium of around $13,000 is for the hardware contractor, but we are really, we saved quite a bit of money on what we had budgeted for our security and access control for the town's vendor. Overall, if we did put that in, it would put us around $60,000 to $65,000 for our security package, which is still under the budget that we had set forth when we set the budget for this project. The next is the big one that I wanted to bring up to the committee and get the input from everybody here. When we put together the construction documents and put it out to bid, we did not include a mock-up on this project. We knew that from a budgetary standpoint, we knew that we were getting tight and we needed to make some cuts, one of which was going to be the mock-up on this. We asked Commodore to we asked LLB, our designer, to provide a sketch for a mock-up, and Commodore priced that accordingly. And what this will be is a standalone structure, small structure that will be built outside of the building, that the associated contractors will build a small mock-up for constructability that the architect can approve before they begin building on the actual structure of the building. This is mainly driven by the carpenter who would be doing the framing, the siding, the window installation, and the eave coordination that's to be inspected by the architect. It is a fairly large number. We've gone through it. We do think it's roughly around the same amount that would be carried if we had it in our bid documents. but it still is $25,000 and something that, you know, I wanted the committee's input on.
Didn't we do something similar on the library?
Yes, so for the library, that
Yeah.
was included in the bid documents. It was out it was actually out in the parking lot.
Correct.
Um,
Yep.
And what that was able to do was to do small things in phases and have the architect come out on a periodic basis and see the installation and check it off and approve it. And it really holds the contractor to the installation and constructability of what they're doing.
Yeah, it's basically quality control, right?
100%. And so if we were not to do a mock-up, which is also an option, what we would be kind of at risk where we would be approving work to being done in the field, which could possibly create almost not an argument, but it's going to be harder to get work taken down and be put back up if we're not able to approve it at that time. So
Yeah, I think it's money well spent.
I also agree, Steve. Not only with our construction contingency, we do have the soft cost contingency as well that can accommodate this. So that's just my opinion as the OPM here. So
Yeah, I agree that it's a good idea. Does you're talking about constructability? Does it also show the finished exterior materials so that the public can get a view of the colors and the textures?
it does, Bartlett. One couple things maybe that won't be exact is the actual window that goes in. It may not be the actual specified window that we have on site, but you'll get a feel for what the flavor of the building of what it's going to look like from that mock-up.
Great. No, I think it's a great thing to do.
Okay, great. If there's nothing else, the next is number 24R1. That is a sink in the level 1 kitchen area. It did not have any vented waste piping to it. They submitted a cost of just over $5,000. We reviewed that. We pushed back on what we felt was owned by the contract. That number was reduced to $1,803. So we did get the contractor to agree that they owned a majority of what they had put in for a change order. There was some piping that was under slab pertaining to the vent that needed to be accommodated for. The next is a big one, and I talked with Bob at length over this one. During our coordination meeting, we determined that the HVAC condensers, which are on the side of the building, were going to need to be relocated due to our coordination efforts. Having the condensers relocated put us right on top of one of our drainage structures. And so a change order was submitted immediately to replace the drainage structure and move it. And that came at a cost of around $13,000. And so we went through that. We went through it with Commodore, and we asked some questions about the HVAC contractor on whether or not that they should be providing a credit for the reduction in piping from the condenser entering the building. The $12,837 change order after we received the credit actually has now become a credit to the town for this work for almost $2,000. So that was actually, it worked out very well for moving those condensers to a better location for the town. And it's actually going to save us a little bit of money. So
Great.
The next is a credit for wood ceiling material. The spec called for white oak. They provided a sample with red oak because they are having trouble sourcing the white oak right now with longer lead times. They provided a red oak sample with a white oak finish. It was reviewed by the architect. They couldn't tell the difference. They were happy with the finish, and they're recommending the credit of $2,750.
Is there any kind of maintenance, long-term maintenance with that, or?
I asked that as well, and they said no. It's a very almost an opinion piece on that, and the white oak was just a little more expensive, so they were happy to provide that because they'd be able to get it on site quicker.
Okay, thanks.
The next is the Colby window submittal changes. Due to the submission of the windows, there were some comments back from the architects. This is a drawing recommendation. Locations of windows and sizes of windows slightly changed. This came to a premium of $6,287.71. This is driven by the Colby windows. These are nice windows that we've gone through with the architect, and we don't have any comments with this. It's mainly a material upcharge for these windows that are going to be going in. The other premium for this is the specific windows that they're looking for, mainly in the multi-purpose room, and other specific areas are to be tempered because of the use that's going to be in those multi-purpose rooms.
That should have been part of the design, right?
I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's why when we make this out, we indicate this as a drawing, coordination, or an error or an omission on the drawings.
Okay.
The last is Division 10 changes from submittal returns. This is due to toilet partitions, how they were being hung. They were originally being hung from the ceiling. It was determined that the structure that was in the ceiling, they didn't feel comfortable with that. This is to provide full length bathroom partitions in all of the bathrooms. So it's strictly a material upcharge for the bathroom partitions that we have. We reviewed this. If this is something that people have questions on, I had the same questions. We may be able to do this cheaper if we want to hang them from the ceiling. This would be a full solid partition that goes up from floor to ceiling. Something that the architect recommended once they received the pricing.
So this is a change from ceiling hung to floor mount?
That's correct.
Well, that's better for maintenance.
Correct.
Yep. Good with that.
So my only other comment here, so the total for all of those that I just explained right there was $57,266.27. And, in my opinion, that feels like a lot. However, I do want to turn the attention to some of the credits that we do have in our back pocket. We have a $90,000 credit that we have yet to issue for the level of finishes on some of the walls throughout the building. That's something that we are expecting to get back. We're just waiting on paperwork, and then we will return that as a change order credit to the town. We also have the removal of the dry sprinkler system in the attic areas, as well as the front vestibule. We have a placeholder for $25,000. I feel that's very conservative. I feel it's going to be larger than that. So once we get that aired out and issued by the contractor and vetted out by us, we'll be bringing some pretty substantial credits back to the town as well to help replenish some of this contingency. If we are okay with what has been recommended today, we would be at, excuse me.
Brian, you have the $36,000 credit for the fill in there too?
Yes,
removal?
so that's considered an approved amount already.
Okay.
That we've already accepted. Yes. So with the estimated and with what we have right now, if we accepted everything as submitted right now, we'd still have over $500,000 in our contingency. Knowing that we're going to be out of our coordination effort right now, I feel as though that is a good place to be right now. As well as working with Commodore, and if there are any allowances that need to be taken on some of the changes that have come through that really haven't been touched yet. So, yeah, that's what we have for today. I don't know if there's any other questions or changes. Bob, is there anything that you wanted to say about how we kind of vet these out, or if there's any comments about how we go through this process?
No, I think you covered it, Brian. I mean, we spent an hour plus going over some of this stuff.
So with the approval here, what we would do is we would bundle these up into an owner change order. It would be signed by the town. It would be signed by the architect, then signed by Commodore and the architect, executed by the town, and then it could be reflected on their future billings and requisitions.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve the recommendation by Vertex for the additional work?
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Bob,
Bob Rumley, yes.
Bartlett,
Bartlett Harvey, yes.
Stacy,
Casey Damaris, yes.
Mike,
Mike Scuduto, yes.
and Brian.
Brian Pasquale, yes.
Steve Moore, yes. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving on to Indian Hill, Brian.
I'll make this a lot quicker. So we
Brian, you want to go over that meeting that we had with Light and Water, or you just want to look?
yeah, what I wanted to do is get a little, if we can take a step back. So we've had a good meeting today with Littleton Water in regards to our sewer system and it connecting to the existing force main. Littleton Water will not be complete the new system by the time we are done our building. Therefore, we need to make sure that the capacity of what's coming out of our building can be accommodated with the existing system. There was some hesitation from Littleton Water that it could, but we brought
Are you
everybody.
talking about over at the school?
Wait, I'm sorry, where?
The existing sewer system at the school?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That should have plenty of capacity.
So their concern was, and some of this may be on the project where we were projecting, very conservative high flows coming out of the senior center based on any type of functions or events that were being held in that building. What we need to do is we need to make sure we can do that. Littleton Water is on board, that we discussed this with DEP, so that when they do finish the project, they're scheduled to finish in November of 2025, which gives us about 7 to 8 months of time where we're expected to be turning this building over to the town. So we all have some homework to do, including Littleton Water. They're going to be helping us out with current flows from the library, current flows from the from the town hall, and the reduction of flows from town hall since the library, the senior center, and ultimately Parks and Rec and the school department will be vacating that building into their new homes. So they're going to help us with that, and in turn, we'll be setting up a meeting with DEP in order to make sure that we can enter this system for the time being while the new system is being turned over. So,
Well, unfortunately, Bob just walked out. I was going to ask him a question, but I think we did a capacity study on the sewer system over at the. Hey, Bob, do you remember some time ago when I think Joe was chairman? We did a capacity study on the sewer system over at the school, and we found that it was only like 50%.
At the high school?
Yeah.
The current one, yes.
So I don't know that there's been a lot of change in capacity since then. We were talking about tying in Pine Tree to that, but I don't think that ever happened.
Well, you tied the fire station into it. You've also that Hager building is being tied into it. The library's has been tied into it, so that you've increased all that there.
But town hall was tied into it, and the library is part of town hall.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we may have some data from 10 years ago that might help.
They've also tied in that Hager homestead to it now.
Okay.
And we tied the fire station into it also too.
Right.
and what we did for the library is we had a third-party engineer do the study for us with the flows from the library to help do the submission to the DEP. There really was no issue back when we did the library.
Right.
And so, the issues that we were kind of presented with in the past month were a surprise to me. And we're trying to get out ahead of it. We've got about 10 months to go for this project to be complete. We want to make sure that this is taken care of so that we don't have an occupancy issue once we turn this building over to the town.
Understood. I just don't understand why there would be a capacity issue.
Yep. Okay.
Thanks, Brian. I'm a little bit confused. I thought you were talking about in the interim before the town sewer is complete, pumping the Indian Hill building up into the high school septic system, which is operating by itself at the moment. It's not connected Or
So I
it- it's-
apologize. I was taking a step back. This is for the senior center.
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking
Yep,
about
yep.
Indian Hill. I'm
Yep,
sorry.
yep. With Indian Hill, they actually did receive their Title V. They had that inspected and got that taken care of prior
Okay.
to the purchase of that building by the town.
Okay.
But back quickly to the Indian Hill project, myself and Matt and Michael will be meeting with Nancy Glencross, the IT director in town. There are going to be several owner vendors in this project that are going to do low voltage wiring, our security systems, and we're going to be meeting with Nancy as well as the school department's IT department, as well as Littleton Electric and the fiber contractor about bringing in the fiber into this building, putting them on the town's fiber network, and making sure that it's coordinated with the contractor's schedule. The contract with the contractor has been signed and executed as of today. It was dropped off at Town Hall, and we'll be meeting with them next Wednesday morning before our senior center meeting as kind of a on-site kickoff, an informal notice to proceed so that they can begin their work there. They've received their affidavits. They're providing their insurance and bonds. And we're hoping by next week we have a detailed construction schedule as well as a schedule of values that we can review and approve for going forward. So yeah, you'll be seeing more of Matt working on that project as well. And then we're planning on our sharing some of our on-site detail or duties. Being able to economize some of our work to be able to go down and check on that work as it goes on. We're expecting it to take about 8 to 10 months. So.
Any other questions? All right, we'll move on to member input. Bob, anything?
Yeah, well, we still got Brian here. We got that email from Chief Panard regarding one of the windows in the building starting to warp again. Do we have any recourse there, or what can we do?
So my opinion with this is that when we did that work, we decided not to do the windows on this. A lot of the work pertained to taking the windows out, re-insulating, reflashing, and doing the envelope around reinstalling the window. And what I'm thinking is happening is that we're still getting some swelling or humidity in the inside of the room, whether it's interior of the room. I'm pretty confident the work that was done to mitigate the water getting inside the building was done correctly. But there may have been damage to the existing wood windows that are in that room as well as the casing. So my initial thought is maybe we could get some humidity readings in the interior of the room as it's starting to get really hot to see where we're at there. I think the issue is that the casing's swelling to the point where the blinds are getting pinched. Is that correct? And the window's kind of warping.
Yeah, I got the same email that I sent back on to you, Brian, and that's my thought too. Is it, do we have too much humidity in that building? I know when I worked there, it was a fairly humid building.
And another thought may be, now that the exterior envelope corrections have been made, I don't believe there'd be any recourse to the mason that had done the envelope repairs. It may be a point of the window itself. If that could get replaced, maybe all our problems go away with something fresh that could go into that where that current wood window is, knowing that those are probably ballistic windows and they're not very cheap.
Yeah, I'll check with the chief before our next meeting. I'll get back to you on it.
Okay.
Okay, Bartlett, anything?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Stacy?
Nope, I'm good.
Mike?
I'm all set, thanks.
Brian?
All set as well. Thank you, Steve.
And I'm all set. So the next meeting is scheduled for June 26th at 7 p.m. and we'll see you there. Oh, Bob,
Yes.
do I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
for Brian Forrest. Brian, last time we did the steel topping at the library, you put the beam out in advance of the event. Is that what you're planning to do as well this time?
Yes, we haven't really broadcasted where that's going to go because we had an on-site meeting yesterday. Having it right inside the fence of where it was going to go. There was some hesitation about possible seniors being the clients that are going to be signing the beam and bringing them inside an active construction site. So what has been decided is locating the beam. We were waiting for Sam and we got his response today, is putting that in the parking lot at the far side of the parking lot, going towards the path that cuts down towards the school, and having a location there set up on sawhorses in a parking lot for about 3 or 4 days. And so we're still prepping when those days are. We plan to put that out with the communication when it's available for everybody.
So you're going to leave the beam out there for 3 or 4 days?
Yeah.
Isn't that, well, you know, I just being a little pessimistic, inviting graffiti.
I hope it's a pretty graffiti, but yeah,
You know,
We didn't have that problem last time, and maybe it was because the beam was more center located into the parking lot.
it was inside the fence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. You're right.
it was
Yeah,
just inside the fence. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll talk with the contractor too about protection at the end of the night, whether it gets wrapped up and possibly put under some sort of a protection for the evening every night. And then we can work there. We have reps there every day that can come down and kind of keep an eye on it, making sure that logistics and in and out of parking isn't going to be an issue.
Thank you. It was just more of a concern about whether you were going to set it out in advance of the 27th.
Yep.
And then once you get your ducks in order, kind sir, if you'll communicate that, and then we can help you with that process as well.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Motion to
Yes, sir.
adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second,
Don't all yell at once. Okay. Roll call vote. Bob,
Bob Rama, yes.
Bartlett,
Bartlett, yes.
Mike,
Mike, yes.
Stacy,
Stacy, yes.
Brian,
Brian Pasquale, yes.
and Steve, yes. Thanks for your participation. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right.